I realized my marriage was already over while my wife was smiling at the waiter, asking for extra bread, and I was staring at a screenshot of her phone where another man had written, "Last night meant more than you know." She didn't know I had seen it yet. She didn't know my hands were shaking under the table. She didn't know every sound in that restaurant had gone muffled, like I was underwater, watching my life happen from the wrong side of glass. She just smiled and reached for my hand. I'm 38. I work as a project manager for a commercial construction firm in Portland. Numbers, schedules, deadlines, my whole career is about holding things together so they don't collapse. We'd been married 9 years. Together for almost 12. And if I'm honest, the distance didn't start with that screenshot. It started quietly. Like mold. Slow. Unnoticed. Dangerous. We still ate dinner together most nights. Still shared a bed. Still told people we were good. But somewhere along the way, conversations became logistics. Touch became accidental. Eye contact became optional. She'd started guarding her phone in small ways. Turning it face down. Taking it into the bathroom. Smiling at messages and then quickly locking the screen when I walked by. I noticed. I told myself it was nothing. The screenshot came by accident. She'd asked me to email a photo to her sister while she was in the shower. Her phone buzzed while I was holding it. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't looking for anything. The notification preview showed enough. A name I didn't recognize. A message that didn't belong to me. I opened it because my brain hadn't caught up to my body yet. And there it was. Not explicit. Not graphic. Worse. Familiar. Intimate. Confident. Someone who knew her routines. Her moods. Her silences. Someone who wasn't guessing. I didn't confront her then. I didn't say a word. I locked the phone. Put it back exactly where it had been. Sat on the edge of the bed and waited for the water to stop running. Then, like a coward or a professional actor, I still don't know which, I suggested we go out to dinner that night. She agreed immediately. Too immediately. Now here we were. Candles. Soft music. The kind of place couples go when they're trying to remember why they chose each other. She talked about work drama. About a coworker's divorce. About a new yoga studio she wanted to try. I nodded at the right times. Inside, I was replaying that message on a loop. Last night meant more than you know. Not fun. Not nice. Meaning. She asked me if I was okay. I said, yeah. Just tired. She smiled. Relief flashed across her face so quickly I almost missed it. That's when I knew. Halfway through dinner, she excused herself to the restroom. Left her phone on the table. That alone felt like confirmation. Like she'd already decided I wasn't a threat. I didn't open it again. I didn't need to. I took out my own phone and texted myself the screenshot I'd taken earlier. Just to make sure it was still real. Just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. The phone vibrated in my hand. Proof. When she came back, she reached for her wine and started telling a story about her sister's dog. I cut her off mid-sentence. Who is Daniel? She froze. Not dramatically. Not like in movies. She just paused. One hand still wrapped around the stem of the glass. Eyes blinking once slowly, like she needed a second to adjust to new lighting. Who? She said. I slid my phone across the table. The screenshot lit up between us like a flare. She didn't pick it up. She didn't deny it. She leaned back in her chair and exhaled through her nose. That wasn't meant for you to see. That was her first response. Not I'm sorry. Not it's not what it looks like. Not even how did you get that. Just inconvenience. I didn't cheat, she added quickly. If that's what you're thinking. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't interrupt. I just said, then explain the meaning. Her jaw tightened. He understands me, she said. That's all. That sentence landed harder than any confession could have. Understands me. Like I hadn't spent years learning her moods, her tells, the way she went quiet when she was hurt and angry when she was scared. Like I hadn't noticed when she stopped reaching for me first. He listens, she continued. He doesn't dismiss things. I waited. Let the silence stretch until it made her uncomfortable. Did you sleep with him? I asked. She looked around the restaurant before answering. Lowered her voice. Does it really matter? That was the moment something inside me cracked clean in half. Yes, I said. It matters to me. She stared at me for a long time, then shrugged. It wasn't planned. There it was. Not an apology. A justification. I felt something collapse in my chest. Not anger. Something colder. You let me plan a future with you, I said quietly, while you were building something else. She looked annoyed now. You make everything so heavy, she said. That's why this happened. I laughed. Once. Short. Ugly. So my pain is my fault, I said. She didn't answer. The waiter came by to ask about dessert. She smiled at him. Said yes. Asked for 2 forks. I stared at her like I didn't recognize her anymore. You were convenient, she said almost kindly. You made life stable. But he makes me feel alive. That sentence ended the marriage. Not legally. Not yet. But spiritually. I paid the bill. Stood up. Pulled on my jacket. She looked surprised. Where are you going? Home, I said. You can take an Uber. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. I leaned down so only she could hear me. No, I said. I'm being done. And I walked out into the cold night, not knowing where my life was headed. Only that I wasn't going to beg for a place in a story she'd already rewritten without me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on my side of the bed while she came home at nearly 2 in the morning, moving quietly like someone breaking into a house they used to own. She slid under the covers without touching me, her back turned, breathing steady within minutes. I stared at the ceiling and realized something unsettling. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of inconvenience. The next morning she acted normal. Not overly nice. Not defensive. Just neutral. Like we were coworkers who'd had a mild disagreement. She poured coffee. Fed the cat. Asked if I'd be late at work. I watched her from the kitchen doorway. This woman I'd built a life with, and understood how deep the betrayal really went. It wasn't just the other man. It was the way she'd already emotionally evacuated the marriage, and left me to manage the wreckage alone. I'm staying with Melissa for a few days, she said, grabbing her bag. We both need space. That sentence again. We. As if this were mutual. As if I'd participated. She didn't apologize. She didn't ask how I was holding up. She didn't even look guilty. Just tired. Slightly irritated. When the door closed behind her, the house went painfully quiet. I sat on the couch and finally let it hit me. Not the image of them together. Not the physical details. What crushed me was realizing I'd been the last person to know my own marriage was ending. Friends probably sensed it. Coworkers. Maybe even strangers. I'd been loyal to a version of her that no longer existed. The days that followed blurred together. I went to work. I answered emails. I sat in meetings while my chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped me out and forgotten to fill me back in. She texted logistical things. Can you pick up the mail? Did you see the water bill? No emotion. No accountability. On the 4th day she asked to talk. We met at the house. She stood in the doorway like a guest. Arms crossed. Defensive posture already locked in. I don't want this to get ugly, she said. I nodded. Then be honest. She hesitated, then said it. I fell out of love a long time ago. There it was. Clean. Surgical. When? I asked. She shrugged. I don't know. Gradually. And you never thought to tell me? I didn't want to hurt you. I looked at her, disbelief turning into something almost like pity. You let me keep loving you, I said. That's what hurts. She sighed. You're taking this personally. That sentence nearly broke me. Taking betrayal personally. I need you to understand something, she continued. I didn't do this to you. I did it for me. I realized then that no explanation she offered would ever include responsibility. So I stopped arguing. I stopped asking questions. I stopped trying to understand someone who had already justified erasing me. I want a separation, she said. I think that's best. I nodded. Okay. That word surprised her. You're not going to fight? She asked. I thought about all the nights I'd waited up for her. All the times I'd ignored my instincts. All the energy I'd spent being understanding while she quietly checked out. No, I said. I'm not. Her eyes narrowed. That's it. That's it. Something flickered across her face then. Not remorse. Not love. Uncertainty. I think that was the first moment she realized I wasn't going to chase her. The weeks after she moved out were brutal. Not dramatic. Just lonely. I ate cereal for dinner. Forgot to turn lights off. Sat in silence longer than was healthy. But something else happened too. I stopped contorting myself to be chosen. I didn't text her late at night. I didn't ask who she was seeing. I didn't stalk her social media. I let the truth be the truth. She'd made her choice. And I was done auditioning for a role I'd already been written out of. A month later she called. I didn't think you'd be this distant, she said. I almost laughed. You asked for space, I said. I gave it to you. She hesitated. I thought you'd check in more. That's when I understood something important. My pain had validated her importance. My silence removed it. I'm not your emotional safety net anymore, I said calmly. You gave that up. She went quiet. I think you're being cold, she said. No, I replied. I'm being clear. We finalized the separation without drama. No screaming matches. No public scenes. Just paperwork. Divided belongings. A shared history reduced to boxes. The last time I saw her, she hugged me awkwardly, like someone hugging a memory. Take care of yourself, she said. I am, I replied. And for the first time I meant it. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday afternoon. No courtroom drama. No dramatic speeches. Just a judge on a screen, a few questions, and the quiet click of a digital signature that ended a 12-year chapter of my life. When the call ended, I sat alone at my desk and waited for something big to happen. Relief. Rage. Collapse. None of it came. What I felt instead was strange and heavy and honest. Grief without chaos. That night, I went for a walk through my neighborhood. Same sidewalks I'd walked with her. Same houses. Same streetlights humming like they always had. The world hadn't noticed my marriage ended. And that realization hurt more than I expected. For a long time I thought healing would feel like strength returning all at once. Like one day I'd wake up whole again. That's not how it works. Healing was quieter. It was the first time I cooked a real meal again. The first weekend I didn't dread being alone. The first morning I woke up without checking my phone for a message that wasn't coming. I stopped replaying conversations in my head. Stopped wondering what I could have done differently. Because the truth settled in slowly, like dust after a collapse. You can't save a relationship with someone who's already decided you're optional. Months later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked thinner. Tired in a way that makeup couldn't hide. We stood there, two people who used to share a life, now separated by a freezer aisle and unspoken truths. How are you? She asked. Good, I said. And it wasn't a performance. She nodded. Hesitated. I didn't think it would be this hard, she admitted quietly. I met her eyes. Not angry. Not smug. Just done. I did, I said. She blinked. What do you mean? I knew it would hurt, I replied. That's why I stayed honest. Even when it was uncomfortable. She didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. I walked away not because I won but because I no longer needed anything from her. That was the real revenge. Not success. Not a new relationship. Not proving anything. Freedom from needing validation from someone who once measured my worth by convenience. Here's what I learned and what I hope someone listening needs to hear. If someone can betray you while smiling at dinner, the betrayal didn't start that night. It started the moment they stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as a role. A provider. A placeholder. A safety net. Love doesn't erase discomfort by running from it. It faces it. And when someone chooses secrecy over honesty, even if the truth would have hurt less, believe them. Not because they're evil, but because they've already chosen themselves at your expense. Walking away with dignity doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It means you respected yourself enough not to bleed for someone who wouldn't bandage the wound. I didn't lose my marriage. I lost someone who was already gone. And I gained something far more important. Myself.